I'd like to introduce you to a very inexpensive, in fact, free product that you can use for your color correction and achieving some customizable, semi-customizable looks. You go to redgiant.com/downloads/free-products/, and you can get Magic Bullet Quick Looks free, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. You can also get a few other things in the Magic Bullet suite to try out and test that you may have an interest in. But we have, I would recommend that you download the Quick Looks free and take a look at that. There are a couple different ways you can download it. You can download it for Windows or the Mac OS. And then when you download it this way, if you select these multiple host applications that you own, it will give you all the different versions of those so that those can communicate with each other across platforms a little bit better. So if you have After Effects or Adobe Premiere and you port those back and forth, it'll help you out a little bit if you have the plugins in both of them. Now, what a plugin is it allows you the opportunity to have customizable looks. So I have Final Cut Pro, I think this is 6.0 open here, and I just want to show you a little bit of what you can do in terms of the color correction. So I have a section of my film selected here, and I have just clipped out the little section that I want to be working with, because these by and large these plugins are a little bit heavy in terms of the processing power that they take. So I want to trim that down as much as I can to the area that I'm actually going to be working with, and just show you what we can do. So your Magic Bullet Looks plugin is going to be, if you have it in list view, it's going to be under Video Filters, and then you're going to go down to Magic Bullet and then Looks. And the way that this plugin works is just a little bit different than the way that maybe some of your other plugins might traditionally, you might be accustomed to them working. So I'm going to open this up here for you so that we can. So I double click on this and we'll throw it up in here in the filters, and then we go to edit. When we go to edit, it opens it up in a brand new piece of software that you have downloaded. Now the Looks version, the free version, is it limits you with what you can do in terms of it gives you the capacity to have the filters. You can see the looks, and then you can change their opacity from 0 to 100. But I have the actual version of Looks here, so you can see what's possible with this. Here I have a bunch of different effects that you can preview what they will look like on top of your footage. So if I go to have all looks selected there, and I go to View, what it'll do is it'll cycle through all of my different looks, and it'll show me in kind of a slideshow type format what that frame would look like with the various looks. Now this is a really, really cool option because it's very light work. Someone else has already done the work to achieve this specific look for you. Now some of them, like this one, just they don't work because they're built for different kinds of footage. This is very dreamy. This one works kind of well, kind of a golden classic old school 20s feel. So yeah, you can experiment with that a little bit. I want to go a little bit deeper in here with you. Now that goes through all the looks, but say I find one that I like. So I'll stop the slideshow here, and I'll go to all looks, and then I pop this little side menu out, and let's go to Blockbuster. Select Blockbuster, and here I'm just like, it's a little too much contrast for me, and it's just too gritty, too green, or whatever. Well, you can go in here and you can mess with these a little bit. You have the capacity, and so these are your your different filters, and the order of the layers and how they are arranged make a difference. So what you have here is layers that affect specifically the subject, layers that come on as a matte, layers that give an effect of a lens, layers that affect the picture in the same way that a camera would, and then post-production layers. And you can take a look at how these work by turning them on and off. And so you see this circle that goes around here. You can turn that on and off, you turn this on and off, and you can just get a really fast read on what you can see that one is a huge difference in the overall look. This one doesn't seem to have a whole lot of bearing. So you can go in, customize these a little bit. You can come over here if you find that you know a little bit about curves, you know a little bit about adjusting those different kinds of things, or you just want to play with it and figure out what happens if you pull this a bit more down or this a bit more up, and you can really just go in here and see all of this on the fly. And the really cool thing about it is that there's just a little bit of work involved. So if I don't like this, I can decide that I want to cancel out of there. And I can always go back to my footage, and if I don't like what I did in that, I don't ever have to actually use that look. I can just deselect it. And so all that work that went into it, I don't have to worry about messing with other filters or color correction that's happening on there. It allows me to kind of communicate in the same way that Adobe Premiere would maybe communicate with After Effects. The Adobe Premiere plugin for this is just as robust. And so you have the ability to adjust the mask here a little bit. But the nice thing about using a Magic Bullet plugin, from my experience, is that it seems to degrade the footage less. So any issues that you would have with adjusting any kind of look in your in the editing system itself with say a color correction or a three-way color corrector, I have found that it seems like it doesn't like pixelate or compress or oversaturate the image as much if I apply, like say, the same filter through Magic Bullet and export it out, and it seems to have a little bit better result in terms of the final result. So let me show you just a couple little things in terms of the subject that may be of interest to you. Spot exposure is really, really cool. So if I throw this on here, what I have is just a little circle that I can create and make it small. Say I just really want him to stand out in it. So I can come over here and change the number of stops to increase that. And then all of a sudden, this guy looks like he is glowing. They're trying to make him kind of look like Jesus or something. So very simple. Now this isn't going to track with him. It's going to sit on top of that like a mat. But if he's fairly static, you shouldn't have much problem. And then you can do a lot of other things as far as grad exposure. If you have a sky that you've lost, then you can come in here and use this grad exposure and say, I want to bring the sky down, however many stops I want to bring it down. 1 stop. So there's 1 stop, and then you can adjust how heavy that gradient is. So you can see how this would work really well if you had something like a blown out sky that you wanted to bring back, and then you could add just a slightest bit of color into it. Say you wanted to add some blue to it, and so you can make your sky more blue. Doesn't work real great with this footage, but hopefully you can see what type of things you can do with something, a piece of software like this. So again, this works. So you can see what that grad exposure does there. It has a little gradient. So you can see A lot of options there. So have fun with that.